All right, y'all. Welcome back to ACEON Consciousness, and we're here talking about more crazy topics. We're connecting dots, and again, like I've said, I'm just trying to get what's in my head out, share it with whoever wants to listen, and then y'all can entertain the idea and see what makes sense to you. And as I've said before, I am fascinated with this whole Tartaria aspect of things, this whole Tartaria subject, right? I'm not saying I know exactly what it is, and no one out there can really say they know exactly what it is or what it isn't, but it's something. There was clearly something there before. There was a reset, and everything, we'll just, I don't know, roughly say the last 300 years, maybe a little less, has been part of this reset. Everything that we have has been by design. Shit's been reintroduced to us. And history's been basically wiped out and then rewritten. So what we know as history, our history, what we grew up with, all the stuff we grew up learning and knowing, or what we thought we knew, that ain't the real deal. And it doesn't take long. It doesn't take much to open your eyes, just look around, start looking at things that you may have seen day in, day out, but all of a sudden, once it's brought to your attention, it's like, I don't know if that quite makes sense. Then you have to start questioning everything and going, well, that doesn't make sense. That's a lie. What else? What else? What else? And so, again, connecting dots. You take Tartaria in this old world pre-reset, and then now we're in the reset. And now we're talking about today electricity. Is it demonic? Is it angelic? Is it both? You may say it's nothing. I don't know. I'm going to present the information I found, then you get to figure out on your own what you think it is. So we're going to start here with, which kind of sparked this whole thing, is this interview with Max Igan that I saw. So here's a clip. I'm going to show you this clip. And, you know, again, I follow and watch a bunch of different people from all over talking about different subjects, but one may reference one little thing, not even necessarily trying to support anything else, for instance, like electricity here, but yet it just goes along to kind of help support what we're talking about. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to quit talking, and we're going to jump right into this. Oh, here we go.
History is nothing like what we've been told. And I think they've done this over and over again. You know the legends of the scrying mirrors, you know, covens and witches and all that sort of stuff, and they believe that if they have these black mirrors and they put these sigils in place.
Now, he's talking about sigils. Real quick, before we finish this, let's give you a little quick little summary on what sigils are, so you have an understanding.
Sigils are symbols crafted to represent specific intentions, desires, or outcomes designed to influence the subconscious mind.
So intentions or outcomes, just keep that in mind, meaning you take what you want, you put it into this sigil, and this sigil is supposed to pull that energy or that outcome and manifest it and make it come to fruition.
The core idea of sigil magic is that by turning a written intention into a unique abstract symbol, practitioners can concentrate their energy on manifesting that intention. The sigil acts as a conduit, channeling the practitioner's desire from their subconscious into the real world, where it is believed to influence events to align with the sigil's purpose.
So that's bringing that into the real world. So with that, so you have an understanding, it's a symbol that may look really odd and not necessarily make sense, but it's the energy, it's the intention that goes into that is what we're talking about. And then when it's activated in some way, shape, or form, it's actually supposed to help summon that energy or whatever we're talking about. So let's finish up with Max.
They can summon certain demons. I was looking at all this back in about maybe 2015. And I was looking at it, I was going, these sigils, the demon sigils, you've got a Google images, you can just type demon sigils, and you'll see these sigils that these witches put on their covens. And I was looking at it, I'm going, these look like elements of electronic circuitry.
So real quick, he's talking about sigils, representing electronic components, electronic circuitry. So now he's taking sigils and tying it in with electricity. That's going to make a little more sense here in a minute.
These look like circuit diagrams. And when you look at the black mirrors that they use to tell them the future and the past, the scrying mirror is the black mirror that you look into the black mirror. You put these sigils in place and you look into the black mirror and it tells you everything you need to know about the future and the past.
So it's almost like these black mirrors can be some form of, I don't want to say crystal ball, but they have powers more than just face value, right? That there's something darker and deeper that's really going on with them, and there's a deeper, darker, more sinister purpose of them.
But they look like circuit diagrams. Tribal people like Shipibo in Peru and stuff will tell you that the electricity that we use is a demon.
Okay, electricity is a demon. Okay.
But this magnetic electricity that we create by spinning magnets and things and dynamos, this is a demon. So what happens when you get that demon, that type of electricity, and you funnel it through these sigils that look like circuit diagrams, and your black mirror springs into life, and it tells you everything you need to know about the future and the past. Why is the cell phone structured, the screen of the cell phone is structured to look like a mirror? Why do you think that might be?
Well, so there you got Max talking about sigils, and when you activate them and you pull that energy through, the energy that comes through that is actually activating the power or the intention of that sigil. So now he's talking about bringing in demonic electricity or energy through what could be demonic sigils, and then you should be able to connect the dots from that. And if not, you might not be ready for this podcast. You might not be ready for this episode. You might need to just go do a little more research, get a little bit more understanding, and then come back and we can talk. But if that makes sense to you, then we can kind of go ahead and keep going forward with the fact that electricity isn't necessarily what we've been told. And it's what we do to power things. It's what these lights on. It's what's got my computer on. But behind it, it's like, again, part of Tartaria is there's a reset. There was a way of life, a view of life, an understanding of life, creation, the way things were. And then with that reset, everything got reset, and everything we've been given now has been reintroduced to us, but in a manner of control. So that means electricity that has been reintroduced to us is done in a negative way. We don't know that. We don't even question it. We just take it and we think, oh my gosh, like this is such an amazing, beautiful thing. But there's so much that goes on to create that electricity, where what Max is saying there is if it's just pulled from the ether, which is like that free energy, the stuff that Tesla was holding on to, that's more like the original. And then we're doing it in a darker, more sinister way, if that makes sense. That being said, we've got these connections with it. Now, here's this, right? So as I did a little research going, this is interesting, these sigils and these electronic circuits. Check this out. This little part of this interview, it's about 45 seconds, giving you a different perspective on this whole electronic being kind of demonized. Or here's the other flip side of it right here.
A subscriber asked, would you please explain what electricity is? Electricity is a sinkhole of magnetism that pulls angels out of the air and binds them into wiring. Now, that also then includes all radio broadcasting, all electromagnetic frequencies that emanate.
So again, this gentleman here is saying that energy is angelic, that electricity, is angelic, and that it's pulled from the air and processed. But, well, here, let's finish this.
So what are you doing? You're basically trying to kill angels. and pull them into these devices. So if we look at this little device here, first off, the material in it is from underneath the earth. They're metals, minerals, man-made materials. And what are they? Through electricity, they have been turned into our slaves.
Okay, so interesting here. This is what Max was saying, that it's demonic. This gentleman's saying, well, it's angelic, but then it's, if you take that angelic energy or those angels and you force them into electrical wiring or whatever he's talking about, then that's kind of a demonic, dark, sinister way of doing things. So you're taking something good, which is perhaps this ethereal energy that Max is talking about. That's the angelic part, is that you're taking that's free, that's natural, that's part of the structure of this creation, world that we're in. And as you pull that through and force it through electronics and with these, sigils, then it actually turns demonic. So you can look at it being saying, well, it's angelic and it's demonic, but I think it's the process of how it's done and what it's doing is turning it darker and demonic. Then it took me to this clip of David Straight, and this is interesting because here he's talking about the 13-month calendar and how there used to be 13 months. But what stood out to me is this last little bit he talks about, just, again, casual, has nothing to do with this thing that we're talking about. He's talking about the months, right? But here, get this.
That's 60. 60. Well, what is, 5G. What is our clocks been running at? 60. All of our electricity, 60. We've been under Satan for a long time. This is a satanic frequency.
Boom! There it is. There it is. So just like that, it's a satanic frequency. He said our electricity runs on 60. It's a satanic frequency. So, again, these are just things to make you think. So, 2 more little clips right here to help go along with what I am saying. Now, when you get into electricity, right? Electricity, EL. So check out this clip by Jordan Max, because he talks about this all the time. But J Max here be speaking on it right here.
Saturn was referred to as El, E-L. El was the god Saturn in the old Phoenician Canaanite system. And consequently, anyone that promoted the worship of El is where we get the word elder. You become an elder because you were worshiping El. And when you worship El and become an elder, then how did you get to be an elder? You got elected. So therefore we have elections. Now that you have been elected to be an elder, now you are one of the elites. Why? Because now you have moved up, like in an elevator. You are now moved up in society. Consequently, it's all money. It's all manipulation and exploitation coming out of Phoenicia, Canaan. It goes back to the old Sumerian, Babylonian systems of words and terms and symbols and emblems that have been used to manipulate the whole human race. Because our masters don't give a damn about you or your family or your destiny with God. All they care about is what they have always cared about, and that's controlling the whole damn world.
If that's the case, then it makes sense, right? They're controlling the world by all these things, by electricity. And we don't think about these terms and words that come up. We don't think about them. We don't question them. It almost sounds stupid when you hear it at first. It's like, what? Elections, elites. You just think elites are the elites. You don't think about where that term came from. J-Max is talking about how it goes back thousands of years. And it's so just put into play now that there is no questioning it. No questioning it whatsoever. So, is it angelic? Is it demonic? What is it? We don't know. But what I can tell you is that, and I showed this on a previous clip, but again, we don't know if L's, they could be angels, they could be fallen angels, they could be demonic, it could be Satan, it's Saturn. It all has to do with whatever it is. L represents some sort of spirit, some other, whether it's good or bad, or maybe it was good at one point and then it got inverted and now it's bad. But here's this. Check this out.
Understand this, and since most of the fallen angels were either buried or petrified, somebody that came from them was left in charge. Yes, they was. They children. Yeah, people call them the Nephilim because in the Bible it talks about the Nephal and shit like that, but I need you to use common sense. That's what people called them. That's not what they called themselves. What do you think they called themselves? I'll tell you. They were called Elites. E-L-L-I-T-E-S. You know what Elite is? Those are the children of the L's. Who are the L's? All the angels and the Most High God. The Most High God, Google it, his name is El Elyon.
So
Every angel
Elyon
had L in their motherfucking name. Mickey L, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, even the devil, Semi-El. That's what it means, bitch. The Elites are the children of the fallen angels. And we've even changed that. Just how Tartarus became Tartary, Elites became elites.
I'm hoping this is making sense. There's something interesting about electricity and our energy that we get and how we get it and the devices that it comes through and the circuitry. All the stuff you're not thinking about, this shit's still going on behind the scenes, right? It's like watching a movie. You get the final product and you're like, oh, what a great production. What a great performance. But you're not seeing all the work and all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And you take the final product and you just take it for that. Same thing here, except that, you know, you look at the World's Fairs in years past, and they just display electricity, and they said that we were so in awe of it, and that, you know, but yet it was just so new on the scene, and it's Edison, and it's Tesla, and they were in competition, and Tesla was blah, you know, all the stuff with Tesla. It's like, well, we don't know that. We don't know for sure. Did he create it? Was he holding on to it? Did he know about this previous energy and he was one of the last few holding on to it and keeping it basically alive, known to the masses before he died? And then they just completely took all of his records and papers and everything and just whatever they did with it, burned it, shoved it away, locked it up. They definitely don't want us, the people, knowing what the hell's going on, because then we're going to start questioning shit. And once you realize it's not making sense, you're not going to play into the game that they want us playing into. It's the biggest fear of theirs, is that we wake up enough as the masses, as people, wake up enough to go, this isn't making sense. You cannot control the masses unless the masses let it happen. So people say, well, what can we do? What do we do? You start waking up. You start talking to people. You start spreading the word. So the more and more people see what's going on, and again, you may not have ever seen anything regarding demonic electricity and energy, but now this is just plants the seed that lets you know, to give you something to think about. So like years ago, I saw that David Straight interview. It was like, what? What do you mean we're under satanic frequency? But as the years have gone on, I've watched stuff to go, oh, wait, now that makes a little more sense. And oh my gosh, that makes sense. And it makes more sense. And all of it just starts getting connected, right? The dots start connecting. And then you can almost, once things make enough sense for me, I close that chapter. It's like, all right, I don't need to get stuck on that anymore. Went through the flat earth, understood that, how that makes sense right here, all this stuff, right? It makes sense. Like, oh, okay, this makes all this other stuff just kind of connect a little bit more fluid, right? It's like, oh, this is just, it just goes. That led to Tartaria. Tartaria, I've said this before, it blew the lid off. For me, it was the biggest dot connector going, oh, all this stuff makes sense now. All of it does. At least up until this point. Like a lot of the questions and things I had, even, you know, modern big pharma, all that stuff, it all makes sense because of the whole Tartaria thing. Now, what Tartaria was, it's up for debate. But the fact that there was some sort of advanced civilization not too long ago and there was a reset, the mud flood, wiped a bunch of shit out, wiped people out, masses, just wiped them out, and then they needed to repopulate. They needed a reset. They needed us, people, beings that they could control. And that's why we are here. So our history that we think that we know might not be what the truth of it. It's just the story you've been fed. But right now we're talking about electronic circuits, sigils, demonic energy, whatever it is. I'm hoping this gave you something to think about, scratch your head a little bit, and again, might not make sense now, but as we go on through this and you go on your journey and on the the process of waking up and getting tapped in, you might come back to this weeks, months, years down the road going, now it makes sense. So enjoy. Thank you for sticking with me on this. And this is another episode of ACEON Consciousness. And I'm out. We'll catch you on the next one.